Alright, this is my review for Skin. I have to say this isn't my favorite. This is probably the first one that I was really just kind of blah about. I don't really know what it is about this episode that is not my favorite. It starts off nice. They have Indigata Davida playing, and there's a girl tied up and she's all bloody, and a SWAT team comes in and they hold up a person and it ends up being Dean. So that's a nice setup. Then it goes back to a week earlier, and I usually don't really like episodes that are like this, where you see the pinnacle, action, and then we find out the previous. I don't like that. I don't like to know what's coming. I want to, I want to experience it as it comes. They flash back to 1 week earlier, and Dean is planning to, do a hunt, but then Sam is reading an email from a friend at Stanford, and Dean's still kind of surprised that he keeps in contact with his friends. And I guess we are too, because we haven't really seen him do that until now. But it makes sense. I mean, he wouldn't just completely drop off all his, all his friends that he had made there. And Dean asks if he lies to them about what he does, and of course he does. I mean, he can't say, he's off hunting evil beings. I mean, they lie to everybody about that. That's just like a family rule. And he gets this email from a girl named Rebecca, and she said her brother was arrested for murder of his girlfriend, and Sam is like, that just doesn't sound like him. And so they go to investigate, and Dean's kind of skeptic about it. He doesn't really think it's their thing, but they go to investigate anyways. So they go to Rebecca's house, and he said how Zach, which is the brother's name, came home to his girlfriend tied up in a chair, bloody, kind of similar to what we saw in the beginning. And the sister says the only way he could have done that if he was in two places at once. And Sam says, we can help because Dean is a cop. So Sam is taking a big leap in lying to her about Dean. And Dean kind of plays along with it. But after they leave, Dean reiterates, I just don't think this is our type of thing. And we learn later how wrong he is about that. So Becky takes them to the crime scene, and it's kind of just a bloody mess. Like, it is just blood everywhere, splattered, and it reminds me of a scene we would see in, like, Dexter. It's awful. And then we flash to this new couple. The guy is Asian, and Zach, who is supposed to be in jail, is watching them. So, and then when he leaves, his eyes kind of flash this, like, yellow alien evil creature type thing. We go back to Dean and Sam, and they're watching the video proof of Zach, and Sam once again catches something on the video like we saw in Wendigo, and it just proves how very observant he is about things. And not that Dean wouldn't notice things, he just is a little quicker, I think, on technical things. So Dean and Sam kind of conclude that could be a doppelganger. And this, again, is just not a genre. It's a pretty stable sci-fi genre monster or creature that comes up a lot. I've seen it in so many episodes of, Angel, Buffy, Battlestar Galactica is full of them. And I just don't like it. I don't like things about mistaken identity. It's just not my favorite thing, because I like to see I don't like how people react to it and then they think, this person's this really evil person when they're really not. I just don't like that. I want to know what the actual character is doing. I don't want to see the doppelganger. So that's probably another reason why I don't really like this. We see the Asian couple's home, and it's basically the same scenario. She's tied up, he comes home, he doesn't have a clue what's going on, and she's freaked out about him because he as in doppelganger, he tried to kill her. And the next morning, Sam and Dean investigate around the house, and Dean changes his mind, and he decides, yes, this definitely is our type of problem. He's just a little slow on the uptake on this one. Sam picks up a trail, but it disappears until they go down into the sewer, and there they find these nasty, nasty skin remnants. It is disgusting. It's probably the grossest thing we've seen on Supernatural thus far, because it's just like slime. I have a real texture problem with things, and so the slimy skin and blood and is gross. But it makes for a good ick factor. And Becky finds out Dean isn't a detective, and so she gets mad at them and tells them she doesn't need their help anymore, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, Dean is kind of like, Sam, it'd be a lot easier if you were like me, not having any attachments, because Dean doesn't have any attachments. Other than his father and the few friends of his father that they knew growing up, Dean has no attachments from city to city. That's why he can easily pick up and move after each case. He doesn't get tied down. He doesn't have any attachments to anybody. And Sam isn't like that. Sam is more sensitive about things like that, and needs human interaction and needs human connections, I think, to feel something in this crazy life of theirs. We see back down in the sewer, and we meet the doppelganger. He's now in the Asian guy form. Sam and Dean split up and search for the doppelganger. When we come back to Sam, Dean is acting a little strange, and he's not acting like himself. The only way Sam knew that it wasn't Dean is he threw him the keys to the car, and Dean caught it with his, I don't remember what hand it was, right hand maybe. He shouldn't have been able to do that because he got hurt on that arm earlier. So Sam knew it wasn't him. So doppelganger Dean, it's interesting because he knows like all about Dean. He kind of is like downloading his thoughts as he stays in Dean's skin longer. And that part's kind of interesting because we hear things about what Dean is thinking and what he wants to say, but he never does say because he holds it back. And the Doppel-Dean isn't afraid to say things, so we hear some things that we might not have otherwise heard. Doppel-Dean knocks Sam out, so now Sam's down in the sewer. And when he's down there, Doppel-Dean starts talking about how much Dean kind of resents Sam. And it's interesting because we would never hear this from our Dean that we know and love. But Doppel-Dean has no connections to Sam whatsoever, so he doesn't care if he, hurts him. And he just goes on and on about how Dean resents Sam for his ability to basically completely leave their life that they knew. He got to go to college, and Dean had to stay home with Dad, and Dean had to stay and continue hunting, while Sam got to have this completely different life, normal life. And deep down, we know, I think we've kind of suspected for a while that Dean is kind of jealous that Sam got to move on from their crazy life, and Sam has friends, but Dean is afraid of people leaving him. The few friends and few people he has in his life are very strong connections. We know that. He's very strongly connected to Sam. He's very strongly connected to his father, and he's afraid of losing those few connections that he has. Doppel-Dean continues to say how Dad left with no explanations, and he left him to deal with Sam. And then he goes on to taunt Sam, saying Dean would sleep with Becky if he had the chance. And we know that. Dean would sleep with anybody if they would let him. So Doppel-Dean goes to Becky and hits on her, and she gets disgusted by him, but he ends up tying her up and makes her bleed. And then we come to the scene from the beginning, same song too. It's a nice callback, but and then Doppel-Dean escapes, and we see him change forms, which is really well done. It's really disgusting, but the effects are fantastic. We see all the teeth fall out. We see the ears like peel off the skin. He completely is changing forms. It's very, very bloody and gross, but it's very fantastically done. Sam and Dean, they have escaped, and Dean goes back down into the sewers. They split up. Sam kind of gets captured by the police for a little bit, and Dean goes back down into the sewers and finds Becky down there tied up. So now the doppelganger is in Becky's form, and Sam, after he gets released, goes to her house, and he doesn't know that it's Doppel-Becky, but we do, and she hits him over the head with a bottle, and that freaking had to hurt. But now the doppelganger is in Dean's form, which is interesting, again, because it's the brothers' interactions, but it's not really Dean. And so he ties Sam up, and Sam escapes, and they fight, and it really displays Sam's fighting skills. I don't think we've seen Sam fight very much until this episode, and he's really good. He can totally kick Dean out if he wanted to, and he does. And then the real Dean comes in, and he shoots the Doppel-Dean, and the doppelganger Dean had taken Dean's necklace. I haven't mentioned this before now, but Dean has this like amulet, this Egyptian amulet that he always wears. It's very significant to him. We don't learn about it until the second season or third season. And he grabs it. They leave. And then we have the obligatory car scene at the end where they have their most intimate moments. And Dean apologizes for Sam that he can't have his normal life anymore. That he can't be, Joe College. And Sam says, deep down, he never really fit in, even at Stanford. And I think this is the first time that we've actually heard Sam say that he hasn't been able to fit in at college, because up until now we think he really loved it being at college, but we learned that he didn't, because how could he? I mean, he's grown up moving from city to city. Like, maybe the most he stayed in a city is 1 month. He has not had a normal childhood, so there is no way he could fit in with people at Stanford. And then they they drive off, and the ending song is All Right Now, which is pretty good. I think that's a good ending song because they're okay. They kind of had some moments out with each other, and Becky's okay now, and her brother's okay, and so it's a good ending song. So grading, and we find out some of the thoughts and feelings he's been hiding from Sam. So that was well done. Good balance between emotional pull and action driven. I gave it 13 out of 17. The action is very well done in this episode, but I don't feel like my heartstrings don't really pull on this episode. The only good moments of this episode are when Sam and Dean are learning things about each other. Other than that, it's just kind of a throwaway episode for me. Effective use of music, 5 out of 5. In-Gadda-Da-Vida was a good song at the beginning, and All Right Now was a good song at the end. Makeup and special effects, 9 out of 10. Like I said, when he changes form, it is absolutely disgusting. I think it's very well done. But I had an issue when Dean and Doppel-Dean were in the same scene together. You could tell one of them was green screened in, and that bothers me. Overall story quality of the week, 19 out of 27. Like I said, I don't like things about mistaken identity or doppelgangers or episodes where we start off finding out the pinnacle action and then we go back to see what happened in between. I just don't like that. So this episode, is not an episode that I would seek out purposefully to watch. Monster of the Week, 7 out of 10. Staple monster on genre shows. And we knew it was a matter of time before Supernatural did them. And they've been on a couple times since. And they're just not my favorite. There's nothing wrong with them. I just don't particularly care for them. Acting, 4 out of 5. I usually do 5 out of 5s. 4 out of 5 because Becky is just not that good of an actor. The actress who played Becky, I'm not very impressed. Especially when she gets grossed out by Dean, doppelganger Dean hitting on her. She completely overreacts. Not my favorite. And then contributing to a season-long arc, 1 out of 4. This episode really does absolutely nothing for the season-long arc at all. Other than a few brotherly moments, it doesn't even touch upon it. So total was an 80, B-. Like I said, not my favorite, but it's nice to watch every 6 months or so. Yeah. So let me know what you think.